Today's guest wears more hats than most. He is a UCR professor. He's a YouTuber. He's a business owner. He's a CrossFit instructor, a consultant, and a bunch of other things. So, Professor Nolan Gouveia.
Yep.
I got it right?
You did.
Let's
nice
go.
Work. Nice work.
Professor Nolan Gouveia teaches entrepreneurial marketing here at UCR, but beyond the classroom, he's built multiple businesses and a YouTube channel with over 300,000 subscribers that's dedicated to demystifying personal finance. Whether it's ETFs or opening a supplement store, he's done it all. Professor G, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. That was quite the intro.
Yeah? I'm not going to lie, I did get a little bit of help from ChatGPT.
Sweet.
I got to make my time efficient, right?
Yeah.
So you have a YouTube channel, and I actually want to talk mainly about the YouTube channel.
Okay.
Because I think I find it very interesting. I had to stick to one topic, because if we went through everything that you do, we would be here forever. When did you start this YouTube channel? 4 years ago?
Yeah. I think it hasn't been 4 years yet, 3.5 years or so.
3.5 years?
Yep.
What made you want to start a YouTube channel?
Yeah. So it's pretty funny. I've been a professor for about 8 years now, and my students had been telling me maybe 6 years ago, 7 years ago, hey, you need to get on YouTube because you teach a subject that traditionally people fall asleep in, which was finance. I was teaching finance, and for some reason we're not falling asleep in your class. So I think that you would do well in YouTube. And I was like, I don't want to do YouTube. I don't want to be one of those finance gurus like with the Lambo in the background and super cringe. But I was like, we'll think about it. And then it took me 2 or 3 years, and then finally they were like, no, you have to do it, just try it. And I was like, okay. So went for it.
You went for it. So would you say you're a pretty communicative professor? You're good?
I would say so, yeah. I think that I just try to meet people where they're at. So I think that's the difference. I think with students, I don't know if it's because I'm closer in age than most of the professors, but I just remember being a professor and being like, what is this guy or gal saying? This was maybe something important in the 1980s, but like for now, I don't really see how that's relevant. So that's the goal.
That's exactly how I feel with my finance courses nowadays. I didn't watch any of your videos per se. I did watch a few videos, but I watched them on mute because I was looking for I was just trying to assess what type of content it is that you produce. And correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like a video essay type of video where you explain a specific topic. You cover the topic in 10, 12 minutes, and that's it.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah, sometimes it's opinions or going pro-con based, or it's, I guess, going into one specific topic at a time for sure. Definitely different than like a vlog style.
Would you say that your expertise lies in finance specifically?
Yeah, specifically finance. I mean, I have a couple different expertise, but I just had to pick one because you need to niche down on YouTube. So I could have went health and fitness, or I could have went entrepreneurship or finance. And to be honest, I just did research on what makes the most money and finance channels made the most money. And I was like, cool, I really like finance. And I think there's a lot of really bad finance channels out there that are like hurting people. So my goal was maybe I can make like an ethically sound finance channel that could teach people how to actually get rich. That's the goal for a lot of people. But actually, not here's a scam or here's a way that you can do it in 10 days or something. So
could you explain a little bit more about those unethical finance gurus that you're mentioning? You don't have to say names, because genuinely, I don't know any names either, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
But what are some of those red flags that you would tell people? Hey, you know what? When you're looking at a YouTube influencer or a YouTube creator talking about finance, or a creator in general talking about finance, what are some of those red flags that people might want to look at?
Huge red flag would just be, at the end of the day, if it sounds too good to be true, it is. Do a little bit of research and try to figure out what's the average return that you can get in the stock market. Like with an index fund, whatever. Average is usually 8 to 10%. So if somebody's going to tell you, hey, you could put your money here and it's going to go from $1,000 to $10,000 in 1 year, that's 1,000%. That's not happening. Like even 100% going from 1,000 to 2,000, that's crazy in 1 year. Like it's happened in the crypto markets and other things like that, and in some stocks. But generally, for somebody to say, hey, you're going to make 10x to 100x your money in 1 year, that'd be when I'm like, okay, what's the catch? What's happening here?
Yeah, you should be a little bit more skeptical about it, which makes sense. My mom actually came up to me with a proposition on where to invest her money in Mexico. And the way she described it was very similar to this, in the sense that, no, I promise we're going to put our money in here, and once we put it in there for a year or two, it's going to quadruple. And I was like, I don't know. Can I sit down on this meeting that you have with this quote unquote financial advisor? And I'm doing an MBA and I'm concentrating in finance. So I have a little bit of an understanding
Mm-hmm.
of personal finances and what makes sense and what not doesn't. Quadrupling your money in 2 years, that doesn't seem very reasonable. So
Right.
I sat down in this meeting with her, and it was a full on scam. It was a pyramid scheme that she
Of
was
course.
about to get into. And I remember thinking at the time, man, this is so dangerous, and there's no real way in which I can show my mom how to do this besides sitting her down and explaining it to her. And I thought, if I wanted to do that, I need to learn the literature and learn everything that I need to teach her. And so I went on YouTube and I looked at some Mexican creators. So, because
Mm-hmm.
this is in Mexico, my mom doesn't speak English, so she wouldn't be able to watch her content.
Sure.
But it's so much help. It's helped her so much
Good.
in actually understanding where to put her money in. What's an ETF? What's compound interest? What's the bare minimum return that you might want to expect given like treasury bills,
Yeah.
or something? So I appreciate this type of content a lot, although it's not a type of content that I actually look at.
Hmm.
But I appreciate that it's out there as a resource
For sure.
for people.
Yeah.
But more than a resource, what you're building, it is a resource in and of itself. But as you mentioned, there's a catch for you. You wanted to make money out of this,
Yeah.
and it makes sense. It's gotta be worth your while
Mm-hmm.
to do it. But could you tell us about the beginning stages? How often were you posting? How did you strategize around building the channel? Did you just start putting up videos and then figuring it out as you went?
Yeah.
Or how did it start at the beginning?
Yeah, really good questions. I learned a lot in that first year because I really had no real idea of any of this. I'd never been a creator before. I'd never even talked on camera before. Learning how to talk to a camera, you and just a camera in a room, is weird. It's super weird. You have to act like that's a person and give them like person emotions, because if not, if you're just like that, it doesn't look good on camera. Yeah, so that was part of it. I think I had a leg up in the space just because I came into it from a marketing perspective,
Mhm.
having done things in the marketing world and just building businesses in real life. I understood that there's still a customer journey. There's still, okay, at the end of the day, what I need to give is that person watching value. If they don't get value out of this video, why the heck would they, first of all, watch the video, but second of all, why would they subscribe? Like, you're not just going to subscribe because I say, hey, you can subscribe my video. Like, that's dumb. There's so many other creators they could go to. So I had to say, at the end of the day, how can I make each video something that's actually going to be worthwhile, something that's going to enrich their life or their journey in some way? So that was the first thing. And then from there, it was just, having to figure out what specifically I wanted to talk about, because personal finance seems niche, but it's really, there's investing, there's saving, there's budgeting, there's side hustles. There's just so many different things that you can go. And so I tried all of them because I personally like all of them. And I just would see, okay, this video got me 100 views. This one got me 100 views. This one got, and then I would talk about ETFs and that would be like 2,000 views. But then I would just be like, okay, people just like that one. I went back to maybe cryptocurrency. Then I went to this. It's like 100 views. And then I went back to ETFs, 2,000 views. So it was like, it seems like the market really wants to hear from me about ETFs for some reason. So then I just doubled down on that for the rest of my videos for a while. And it was like, that just kept it steadily growing. And then I just became the ETF guy. And then now that I'm big enough, I can start branching out. And I do talk about side hustles or Bitcoin or whatever, like minor, but it's still that center nucleus of ETFs.
What do you think it is about ETFs that is so popular, specifically from you?
Yeah.
I'm assuming there's other creators out there that are talking about ETFs but are not getting any attention.
Yeah.
So what would you say is special about you and ETFs that makes it more digestible for the viewer?
I think honestly it's the credibility I have with my name. So my name on YouTube is Professor G, which is what the students call me, Professor. And so I just think that name carries a little bit of weight, like just the word professor. Even if you don't really care about school or academics, you just think like, all right, at the very least that person has some academic knowledge. And so what I'm teaching on is ETFs, which is a boring way to invest, slow and steady, but it is tried and true, has data, and like the wealthiest people, that's the way they invest. Is they're not investing in these little like penny stocks, they're investing in the S&P 500. So to hear from a professor about something that has data seems to just be like a more educated way to invest for people.
Interesting. How do you do any type of research before videos nowadays, or
Yeah.
does it just all come from the?
No,
The
for
dome.
sure. They're heavily researched. Most of them are anything between 1 hour on a short end, but maybe up to 5 hours of like research for the video. Not every one of my videos, because some of them are purely opinion based, or should I invest or buy a house? There's different types of debates there, but if it's like specifically why this ETF over this one, or what is actually in these ETFs and all that, you have to go in and do some actual research on it. You can't just chat GPT some of that stuff.
Yeah, ChatGPT does hallucinate quite a bit.
Yeah.
So you don't want to put out not factual information
Yeah.
out there. I do remember going through your YouTube page and I saw a short that I think it was basically you playing tennis and mentioning one of the things that financial freedom buys you is time. However, I know from other friends that I have that do YouTube and are creators as even just a side hustle, it can be quite time consuming.
Sure.
How does that look like on your end? Because you mentioned it takes you what, like an hour or so to research a video. It's a 12-minute video, so I'm assuming you're also spending some time in the editing room,
Yeah.
cutting it down. So like on a random week, how often do you spend on specifically just YouTube creation?
Yeah, that's a good question. YouTube creation. So right now I do 2 videos a week, 2 long form videos a week. It takes anywhere from an hour to 3 or 4 hours of just researching and scripting. And I don't script word for word, but I script like key point, almost PowerPoint style, and then I just go into it. So that's like an hour to 4 hours or so. And then shooting is the shortest thing. That takes like 20 minutes maybe. I'm pretty like on it with that now, because I know the longer that you talk, the more you're gonna have to edit stuff out later. So I'm just like to the point. But editing takes about an hour or so for a video, maybe a little bit more if I'm trying to get crazy with motion graphics and all that. And then making the thumbnail takes anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. Usually I'll make 3 thumbnails and I'll try to figure out which one I think looks the best next to each other or near other stuff. And then writing up all the SEO and all that, the different things behind it. And then, yeah, so for each video, it's probably anywhere from 6 to 8 hours or so.
6 to 8 hours for each video?
Yeah.
Goodness. That
Yeah.
sounds like a lot of time.
It's a
Because
good amount of time.
you're a YouTube creator for sure, but then you're also a professor. How many classes do you teach? Do you just teach the one that I'm in
No, I teach, it's like part-time, so it's 2 to 3 every quarter.
every quarter?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you have a bunch of businesses that do you actually operate these businesses, or are you just an investor?
So in the jiu-jitsu gym, I'm just an investor, but I practice jiu-jitsu, so I'm there working out. And then the other businesses are through YouTube. So it's like the longest or the biggest thing that takes my time is my financial consulting. I do one-on-one consulting, and it's like hourly, and that's anywhere from 3 to 5 hours a day.
Interesting. And so would you say that YouTube is essentially your sales funnel, the beginning part of your sales funnel,
Yeah.
where then after they've, I don't know, an audience member or a viewer has seen that you actually have the knowledge and would like to do a free consultation, they can reach out to you one-on-one. So that's the front, like that's the YouTube page is like your storefront.
Yep.
And then all the other services that you provide are embedded within that sales funnel.
Yep, exactly. Because they can go to, I have courses they could buy. I have a Patreon, like exclusive group that they could be a part of. I have one-on-one consultations. I do large business consultations as well. And then, yeah, just other things through like the different ad agencies and things that put ads into my videos, things like that.
How soon into because you said you're 3.5 years into this YouTube page, how soon into the beginning stages did you insert those services? So was it after 3 videos? Was it after a year? Was it when did you insert that?
As long as possible. And if you're going to do it, as long as possible, like wait as long as you can. I know that's the hardest thing ever. I was just talking with a friend of mine who has about 40,000 followers at this point, and he can start putting stuff in there, but I was like, man, just wait till 100,000, I promise you. And that's what I did. I didn't really do much until about 100,000 subscribers. Obviously the channel is monetized, and so YouTube puts ads, like the quick like skip type ads in there. So I was doing that, but that doesn't really, like, whatever, as a viewer that's not really that bad. But the ones where I'm sitting there talking about something for a minute in the middle of my video, that disrupts the video. Like, I know that does, but we're also used to all the creators doing that, and so it's forgiving. But all that to say, I talk about, or I think about it the same way like I talk about in class, like Facebook. Like Mark Zuckerberg tried to keep that thing as cool as possible for as long as possible, and what that meant was no ads on Facebook. Even when he had 500 million daily or whatever it was, it might have been monthly users on Facebook, he still didn't put ads on that thing when he could have just been crushing it. So it took forever for them to monetize, and his investors were just like, what the heck, we're going through like all this money and you could monetize it. And he waited and waited, and then now it's one of the biggest companies in the world and killed it when it started doing too many ads. But he knew that was going to happen, so he didn't want to do it too early.
And is that the same reason you're doing it, is to keep yourself as cool as possible for as long as possible?
As long as possible, yeah, because I have an ad agency at this point, and it does all my negotiating, gets me an ad that like they know works with like my ethical standards and also all these other things. And then they say, okay, you got to talk about this for a minute. They're going to pay you X and just throw it in one of your videos. And they try to get me to do one in every one of my videos. So that's 10 videos a month. And I told them I don't want to do more than 40%. So I only do it in 4 videos a month. And they only get paid if I get paid. So they're like, no, you should do it in more videos. But I know that if I make my audience annoyed and they just look, oh, he's just trying to like sell out, then they're probably going to drop off or something.
Yeah, you lose credibility when all that you do is sell either a course or sell another product. Even if it's related to what they're trying to look for. Nowadays, YouTube is used as a resource, I would say.
Yeah.
So whenever we're looking to gain knowledge, we want to go on YouTube and get it as soon as we possibly can.
Yeah.
And then get out of there and actually apply it. So if I'm going to sit through a 10-minute video, which nowadays is huge, it's a long time to sit through the entirety of a 10-minute video.
True.
And then 2% or 20% of that video is an ad, plus the ad at the beginning, plus the ad at the end. I'm lost in your content at this point.
Yep.
And talking about that attention span that we have, it's 10 minutes. So 10 minutes, I understand, in YouTube helps you monetize. At least it was at some point with the algorithm. I don't know how it is right now.
Yep.
But a lot of creators are moving or adding onto their entourage short form content. And I know that you're doing some short form content. What is your approach with that? Are you on TikTok? Are you on Instagram? You're obviously in Shorts. What's your approach towards short form content?
Yeah, to be honest, lately I haven't done any short form. So like I did short form a little bit harder in 2024.
Oh, nice. All right, give me 1 second.
It's good to run through this.
Whoa. You know what? I've been here since, 10 a.m.?
Yeah?
Oh, it's motion sensitive. Okay. We just haven't been moving. Yeah, I've been here since 10 a.m. because that's when Sabine could open it
Okay.
for me.
That's funny.
That was weird. All right. We're back. Jesus, edit that out. Yeah, because this is my friend that's helping me in the back end.
Nice. Yeah.
So short
form, yeah. So for me, in 2024 was when like short form was just huge. That's when it was like, okay, if you're doing YouTube, you should do short form content as well. And it probably still is, to be honest, but my audience, my core audience are older. Like my viewer is 45 to 59 is like the core audience that watches me. Again, it's people that want to retire. They want to, like, they're wealthy. Like my clients are very wealthy, tens of millions of dollars. So they're looking for safe, effective, professor or academic backed type of research. They're not necessarily looking for a 20-second like video with music, and that's not what they're looking for. I do have TikTok and I have 20,000 followers on that. I don't put things on there, but I would make my shorts for YouTube. And I was like, whatever, I might as well throw it on TikTok as well. And some of them did there, some of them didn't, but TikTok is just, you have to understand that customer, and that what they're looking for is that doom scroll like style stuff. And that's just not the content I'm making. I know that I would be 2 or 3 times bigger than I am now if I really focused on that a little bit. But at the end of the day, I'm not necessarily looking for millions of subscribers. I'm looking for the end result, which is monetary and to help people. So
financial freedom at some point. 100%. Practice what you're preaching.
Yeah.
And I understand that. I was thinking about how if you were to move on to TikTok or move on to Instagram Reels or something that is, I do believe that reduces your credibility specifically for your brand.
Yeah.
Because that is a completely different customer. And so I wanted to talk about your ideal customer profile. So you mentioned a few characteristics of them. They're wealthy, they're older, they're interested in the academic research and the safe route. Did you from the get-go write down what that ideal customer profile was going to look like, or did it just blossom on its own?
The market tells you. YouTube's so cool because for anything digital, really, you can tell within 10 videos, whatever, you get to actually see, here's your demographic. This is the type of whatever that was happening. And I could tell I was like, obviously mostly men because that's who's watching finance. And it was this much percentage of 45 to 55 year olds and this many 25 to 35 year olds, like all that. And then where in the world they're watching from, like all this type of stuff, where they drop off on your video, like all these things. And so I just saw over and over, okay, it looks like that's my demographic. So I can't talk to them about like a video if I titled it something like how to go from $100 to $10,000 or something, where for maybe a student, that sounds like a good video idea. But for them, they're like, $100, like,
I make that in
yeah,
an hour.
Yeah. So it's, you have to talk to them where they're at. So I would say something like how to move $100,000 from cash to a high yield savings account or something like that, because that's literally a question they're thinking. Like, okay, where should I put this 100,000? Whereas younger people are like, how do I make 100,000? So it's just a little bit different there.
It's a little bit different.
I thought my customer, just like I've told you guys about my CrossFit gym, like I thought my customer was going to be students. I thought it was going to be kids. I thought it was going to be people that, undergrad specifically, like 18 to 22, like really trying to figure out how can I teach them that if they just put some money away for the next 40 years, $100 a month, that's going to be enough. Like they're going to be okay. And unfortunately, the younger the kid is, the more they want it like today, because they don't care about when they're 60, they care about when they're 25. So
yeah, they want the money that they can use in the weekend.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
And part of your description on YouTube, it states that you were growing tired of the way in which finance is traditionally taught in school, high school, college, the sorts. What about it do you not like? Specifically because resonate with it. I don't think I remember a personal finance class. We had a home economics class in high school, a singular class where they basically were teaching us budgeting and how much things cost. But the professor wasn't very finance oriented. They were a history teacher mainly. They just got stuck with this one class and she made us like play Monopoly and it was super fun, but did I learn anything? Not really. So what are some of the things that you know as a professor? What are some of the things that you've seen that, you know what, it's not enough to teach this in the classroom? Or what's so wrong about the way in which finance is taught in the classrooms nowadays?
It's hard because, first of all, it's not. I don't think it's taught in the classroom. Like you said, you had a singular class or whatever in high school. There's not many high schools that even have anything to do with finance other than possibly budget. Like I remember when I was in high school, which was a lot longer ago than you, but it was like how to balance a checkbook. Like,
wow.
That was like the extent of what was personal finance. And then my whole collegiate career, I didn't have one personal finance class, and I was a business major and an MBA finance major. Didn't have a personal finance part of it at all. So it was just very weird to me. A lot of my clients are CPAs and finance people, and they still come to me to ask me how to invest their money because it's, even though I know numbers and I know finance, I don't know like my own personal stuff. And so they didn't even get the schooling. So what I'm seeing, obviously, as a professor is we have to teach a certain curriculum, and that curriculum is put through the ringer because of accreditation for the school. Unfortunately, personal finance isn't necessarily something that's going to be academically rigorous enough to put into a good college program. And that's unfortunate, but it's just the way that it is. There's certain specific key metrics that you have to teach, and that just doesn't fit into it unless it's a general ed or something like that.
Yeah, I think I've seen a few classes being offered at UCR, but also at my other undergrad institution about personal finance, and they were all electives. They were not a main part of the course curriculum. You could just choose not to take them.
Yeah.
And most people don't.
Nobody's going to choose a finance class on purpose.
Exactly.
Who wants to do more numbers?
You know what's funny about it? The people that did end up choosing it and enrolling in it were older people.
Yeah.
Usually it was the 30 to 35-year-old veteran, military veteran that came back and is doing their undergrad education, and they're very serious about it.
Yeah.
Because they're older, they're wiser, they understand the value that comes out of it. Kid that just chose business because that was the one degree that they could finish in 4 years, maybe they don't care about personal finance as much, or at
Yeah.
least not at that stage.
Yeah.
But later on they will, and that's when they go to you.
Yep. And that's the thing too that I've seen, even because I've taught a personal finance class here at UCR, I've taught them at CBU, different things, and it's just like the student just doesn't understand. You don't have life experience yet, so you don't understand even what I'm really talking about when I say something like put a portion of your money here, a portion here. Most people are like, yeah, when I make a lot of money, I'll just put some of it there. And it's like, until you actually have bills, until you actually make money and like how much stuff actually costs, you'll see why most people are not rich. It's because most people make as much as they spend, and then they wake up and they're 50 years old and they're like, oh crap, I don't have any money saved up for retirement. So that's unfortunately the way that it is.
Unfortunately. I do have 2 more questions before we wrap up, because we do have a class to go to.
That's true.
The one I attend.
I need to go teach that class.
Yeah, it actually ties to what we've been discussing in class about feedback. So an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you need to listen to what your customers say. On YouTube specifically, that translates really well through the comment section. So how much of the comment section, how much of the feedback that your audience gives you do you take in to actually produce content?
Yeah, no, that's huge. Anybody that wants to do a YouTube channel, they've asked me, like, what's the secret? How do you get there? I was like, man, the biggest thing you can do is answer your comments and be in the comment section and be a part of it. Like, they're taking the time to write something. Take 10 seconds and write something back. But for me, I think that my channel has grown so quickly and has been so dialed in because I have an ear to the ground. I know exactly what they like and don't like. Like, they'll tell you if they don't like it. And if they do like it, they're telling you that also, or they're asking deeper questions. Like, okay, I heard you talk about A, B, and C, but what about this part of it? And then if I get 10 or more of those comments, I'm like, okay, cool. It sounds like that's enough to put together a video for that. Unfortunately, in this day and age, with AI being able to do so many things and you can hire a team and all this other stuff, I just know so many creators that offload everything. They have their editing somewhere else. They have their management of even the channel somewhere else. They just shoot real quick and then that's it. And I think that's where you'll die. Like, I do everything myself, and I think that's helped. Even though it takes longer, it makes it so that I know exactly what people like, what they don't like. I know what they're clicking on. I know why they're clicking on it. So it's very helpful in not only what my topic is going to be, because I know everybody wants to get rich, but what specifically is going to land. And so I know that because of that. So comment section, very important.
Yeah, I fully agree. A lot of the creators that I follow, they're not specifically a resource type of creator. They just do a podcast and they interview people and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But they talk about all the time, I don't read comment sections. That's not, they influence my content too much. And so I'm like, well, you know what? But they also let you know what they like and what they don't like.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting discrepancy to see.
Yeah.
And I think it depends on the type of creator, the type of content that you're trying to do.
I would agree. If you're trying to help people, why not listen to those people? But you do need to have thick skin if you're going to be on social media in any way.
Yeah.
Like YouTube, TikTok, whatever, because, man, people, they're not right in front of you, so they're going to say whatever they want. So I get people all the time just
What's
stupid
the
stuff.
worst thing that you've read about yourself?
Oh my gosh. Like the fact that I have tattoos. Okay, obviously I'm in this space with like older people that are watching me and whatever. And most of the time I do have long sleeves for that reason, to be honest. I look more professional. But every once in a while I have short sleeves on, or I have my sleeves rolled up. And one person on there one time, I said something about Trump, and I try not to be political. But this person said, you got to be careful because you're a Hispanic man with gang tattoos, so you can get deported any minute. And I was just like, what? What's happening? I just said Trump is doing something with the tariffs, and he just went off, and I was just like, oh, man. So sometimes it's just crazy.
Yeah, you need thick skin.
Yeah,
For sure.
I just laugh now, but it's pretty funny.
But you need thick skin for many things, not just being a YouTube creator, but being a builder in general, which I assume that you are.
Yeah.
You've built multiple businesses. You're building this YouTube channel.
Yep.
You build content for our classes, right?
True.
So I would say that you're a builder. And a lot of the students or the people that I talk to, when they say that they want to build something, the barrier of starting or the barrier of actually getting off their ass and doing it is insecurity of not feeling like the expert. So you're a highly educated guy, right? You did your MBA, right,
Yep.
at CBU. Then you also have a PhD. So I feel like that propels you, or at least gives you some type of understanding, like, oh, I can do this. I am an expert. I know my stuff. But for someone that wants to build something in an area that they're knowledgeable about, but highly interested in,
Yeah.
what would you tell them? Like, how should they approach that? Should they just start while not knowing anything and learn along the way, or should they get prepared first and then start building?
That's a good question. I think the first thing is be authentic. Like, don't try to come off or even try to be something at a level that you're not. If you have no schooling or no academic background, maybe don't come at a channel with academic data and that type of thing, but maybe in a different way, maybe like professional data or something of that nature. But like, you wouldn't want to get into a debate with somebody who like that's their bread and butter and then you get crushed. But at the end of the day, what I tell people is people are willing to watch somebody who they perceive as an expert, and they'll call them an expert if they know this much more than them. There are finance people out there that know way more than I do, like for sure. They understand certain ratios better than I do, whatever. In my specific case, like for my, like the ETF specifically and why, I don't know if there's anybody that knows it better than me, but if there are, great. But I just know that I know it enough to be able to explain to most people, and I can make it simple enough that they'll be able to understand it. So for somebody that has somewhat of an expertise or at least knows something more, like they know how to build cabinets better than anybody, that they know, or they know like cars better, or they know gaming better, whatever. If they know just a little bit more, there's going to be a community out there that wants to see that, because there are people that follow me because I don't talk at such a high level. There's certain finance professors that you fall asleep, that person's smart as heck, but I can't even relate to what you're saying. There's certain people that might be at a higher level and they want to talk to that guy, but most people probably want to just hear it in simple layman's terms, and that's what I'm good at.
Awesome. So before we go, what are you doing next? Are you building further your channel? Are you going to build another business? You're going to go for another PhD? What's your plans for the future?
Honestly, right now, to be honest, I'm working on balance and just like balance for my life. So I'm trying to figure out this answer of the question of what's enough. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm never going to be cool with like where I'm at though, no matter what it is. I get to a point in all my businesses where they're somewhat successful. I've had failed businesses, but they'll get somewhat successful, and then I'll just get bored because at that point it's on autopilot. So the YouTube channel is still, I'm probably in the middle of where it can get to. So I still feel like there's room to build. So I think I'm just going to double down on YouTube specifically, try to keep my coaching clients to a manageable amount instead of going crazy there. But yeah, I'm always looking for another business to invest in or help people build something. So that's the goal.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Professor G.
You're welcome.
That's
Awesome.
it. Awesome. I don't know how to end these anymore.
That's good.